Hello everyone, and welcome to another game of World of Warships. Today's replay is from Tsukumi-chan, and I'm terribly sorry for mispronouncing it. He's in the Fujin at tier 5 Japanese destroyer. He's on my best jury, and well, it's a standard battle, tier 7, and there's a carrier. Also, there are only 3 tier 5s, well, their friend is already lost one, so not so ideal, but at least he's starting strong with some torpedo hits. Yeah, the Fujin is a bit of a pout, so at least there is that, although it's utterly defenseless against the carrier. Look at that, the Ranger is already here, but he's currently not spotted, and it looks like the Ranger is not hunting for destroyers, but instead just going after one of the friendly cruisers or something like that. So at least there is that for now. But if the carrier at any point finds an interest in him, he's... And wait, how did that battleship just turn pink? Did he just shoot like the Surrey? And what happened? Okay then. I mean, you know, you'd have to do a little bit more than just the scratch to turn pink. Well, anyway. Tsukumi-chan. Oh, lucky fire there. Nice. So yeah, some more troops going towards the Dunkirk, and it looks like the fire is still burning, so that might be enough anyway. Currently he's just getting slightly closer so he can better torpedo enemies. I mean, the enemy team, it's a standard battle, there is no reason for the enemy team to be very aggressive, and so they definitely are not. There we go, that fire did the trick. It was quite a lucky fire there, but well, good start, good start. The Ranger is coming back, so he has to be careful. So far it doesn't look like the enemy carrier is looking to hunt down destroyers, but you know, he could accidentally spot him, and that could be just as disastrous because there are quite a few enemies still around. Now the other flank, not too much has happened. Well, the friend has lost one cruiser, but since then nothing too much has happened. It looks like our Fujin keeps an eye on the torpedo bombers, and I think he wanted to go this way, but he couldn't because otherwise he would have been detected. Now that the torpedo bombers have somewhat passed, he's going to turn back, and he has his next target there, the Colorado. Now, I'm not sure if this Colorado is coming around here, but it's definitely worth a try. And at lower tiers, those torpedoes reload so incredibly quickly, you can't just keep pumping them out there. Now, we haven't really seen much of the enemy destroyers yet. There was a Nicholas spotted on this flank at some point. And I mean, it's hard to say what his RPF is tracking right now. It could be the Colorado. We haven't seen the... what's the other destroyer actually? It's a Mutsuki. Well, the Mutsuki is probably not going to show itself. Well, there's the Nicholas. Yeah, it's still in the back there. It looks like maybe the Nicholas took some time to load into this battle. It has been a lot of time. Now, Tsukumi-chan here sees the carrier. I think he was considering going after that, but first there are planes coming his way currently, and second, it would probably not work. It would be a mad dash down. I mean, the Ranger isn't coming his way, it's running away. He'd have to run after it, and if that Nicholas then gets there and comes after him, and the carrier starts spotting him, he would just be trapped and probably taken out. What's really amazing also is that the enemy carrier with rocket planes found a destroyer and just didn't do anything. So yes, the enemy carrier found Tsukumi-chan here and then just left. Okay. So, I mean, it's low tier, so it might be a need. Meanwhile, Tsukumi-chan is aware that he has guns, something that is nice to see in a Japanese destroyer, and he's taking the opportunity to get some nice shots into the Nicholas. Meanwhile, we have a Bayern that's rather suicidal here, unfortunately. But, well, I mean, the Bayern is still alive. And... oh, wait, can he make it behind this island? That'd be hilarious. So... Meanwhile, Tsukumi-chan, he's trying to see where the shells are coming from and he's stopping this smoke. It would be nice if he could like grab the Nicholas here. The Nicholas is probably focused on, well, the Bayern is dead. That's a shame. Like if the Bayern would have survived a little bit longer, the Nicholas would have focused on shooting the Bayern. And might have been a lot easier target to torpedo. Well, no luck on those troops. Oh, wait. I was too early there. Okay. Hello, Nicholas. Would you enjoy some shells? Well, see, here is the sad part, right? This Nicholas was briefly spotted, I presume by the carrier planes that went over it, and if the carrier had kept spotting the Nicholas would now be dead. But the carrier didn't care about that, he just, you know, the spotting was purely an accident, and he just, you know, kept on his merry. Well, at least both carriers are in that way equally not very good. Let's put it like this. Speaking of not very good, that's the overall state of the game. the other flank has fallen back to the spawn, and well, this flank is no longer existent. And well, Tsukumi-chan has decided he needs to take some drastic measures here, like really top the crap out of this Colorado. Now, he could take a pretty big hit here, but it doesn't look like the Colorado has the time. Although the Königsberg got a few licks in. Now he is immediately employing evasive maneuvers, and he is deploying a smokescreen. Now, very good use of the smokescreen. He needed to disappear before the Königsberg could keep pew-pewing him. But you know, there is also Nicholas that showed itself. Brave Nicholas there, because he's on so low health. Which means he can now take care of that Nicholas. Now, unfortunately, because he was detected, that means the Königsberg or Colorado could probably get some few shots in. But thanks to the smokescreen behind him, he was immediately undetected once destroyer went behind the island. Now, this was a bit of a risky move. I would have gone like north around the island after the Nicholas, because he got close enough that the Colorado could see him here. The Nicholas, it looks like he has engine problems. And probably no last stand. This is getting a lot closer than what one would like. So, thankfully, I guess low-tier battleships are very inaccurate. There is the Königsberg though, and well, even the secondary is gonna hit in there, looks like. Yeah, I think I would have taken the safer path, right? Go the other way around the island and then farm the Nicholas. He could have made better use of the cover, and he wouldn't have exposed himself to Colorado, but it worked, So, that's good. Ship-wise, it's 6 against 7, so it's not as bad as it used to be, I guess. Now, we have a friendly Jaguar here that technically could just break through and try to take the camp. Actually, the enemies are out of destroyers, and I mean, they have some forces here. It's not the biggest map, so they might be able to react in time. Biggest issue obviously is a carrier, right? If you try to camp in a destroyer against the carrier, it's not gonna happen. Unless it's a very, very bad carrier. And are those to be... there's some potential for those troops, I think. Well, potential was not realized. Yeah, okay, the Colorado slowed down there too much. Shame. Now, he could technically switch the flanks and go after those guys, but it's not like there are any ships here left to stop the incoming red, so it's not an ideal situation. Now, I'm not exactly sure what the Jaguar... Actually, the Jaguar might be using this island to lob shells while being undetected. A Jaguar that could actually be working quite nicely. Now, the Sinop is actually trying to stop what's coming here. The Colorado is... well, he's at the zone wall. And the Gneisenau is trying to... how healthy is the Gneisenau? I mean, okay, he took a bit of damage, but you know, as Ignites now, you shouldn't try to hide. You shouldn't try to hide behind your carrier. You should actually be there trying to stop those incoming ships, and maybe make some use of torpedoes, secondaries, and you know, your close quarters capabilities. Well, there are some enemy planes again. So far, as I said, like the carrier has utterly ignored destroyers, which is nice if you're the destroyer, you know. Like, it's not just that the enemy carrier isn't actively looking for Tsukumi-chan, it's like he found him once with rocket planes and then just left. Never attacked, never spotted. Oh well. So we have some torpedoes away against the Colorado. And now Tsukumi-chan has decided he needs to defend. Like, the Sinop just died, and that was sorta-ish the last defender. As I said, the Gneisser now is hiding behind the carrier. And, well, there is the friendly carrier again. And that's a devastating strike against the Colorado. That's going to be very helpful. Unfortunately, friendly's still behind. And the enemies are now in the camp. Now, those battleships will probably not be able to entirely cap. But, I mean, he could, you know, shoot them, popping a smoke screen and so on, keep resetting them a little bit. But the thing is, they are denying the friendly's points gain. And in a very close battle like this could make the difference. Like, if they ended up with 2 ships versus 2 ships or something like that, the enemies would probably win on points, because they can deny the friendly some points gain. So he's decided to pop a smoke screen here and, well, get an interrupt in. Also, hopefully start a fire. I mean, the thing about starting a fire here is, if he then gets a torpedo with a flooding, the flooding would stick. Assuming they are damage conning, I guess. So starting a fire here is not necessarily a bad idea. The problem, of course, is, as the Ismail is just demonstrating, the enemy is not afraid to just blind shoot his smoke. And he's on very low health. Like, if the Sinop just guesses right, he's in a lot of trouble. So the question is, does he want to take the risk to start a fire? And, you know, those are some very good looking tools. Even better, he's just unleashed the Kraken and he's using Yamamoto. So he gets a heal. So in the end, he didn't just hold his fire because he didn't want to take the risk. He was fully aware that if those torps hit, he'd get a heal. And suddenly, shooting isn't as risky anymore. Or, you know, one blind salve is much less likely to take him out here. Now, smoke is running out. Well, he could keep shooting here, I'd say. Smoke is soon going to run out. But let's hope that those torps do something. He is making sure that he has enough distance here and isn't getting spotted. And once more, I'm impressed that there are many friendly ships remaining, and yet the enemy carrier still refuses to go after Fujin. If at any point the enemy carrier would go after Tsukumi-chan here, this would, like... I mean, if the enemy carrier would have tried, this would have already been a defeat for the friendlies. I mean, Tsukumi-chan is the only thing that keeps his team here afloat. And he has no defense against the carrier. So, low health Königsberg taken care of, that's nice, that brings us up to 6 kills so far, but you know, despite a high caliber Kraken and 6 kills so far, this battle is far from on, it's actually not looking good. It's 3 against 3, but the enemy has quite the significant point lead. So the Jaguar is trying to open water gunboat in Ismail. Being a Jaguar, that's kind of understandable, I guess. But the Ismail is just way too healthy, I'm afraid. And he knows to shoot high explosive. I mean, at this point the Jaguar could just try to disengage, I guess. And preserve his health. He could also, like, I mean, as I said earlier, right, against the carrier, taking a cap is not gonna... But, you know, the enemy carrier has so far not really done much. Honestly, against this enemy carrier, I think he could probably just go in cap, or at least delay the points gain of him. Of course, he is willing to go down fighting, and considering this... well, okay, now it's just gotten worse. I mean, you know, he knew that he had to take some risk in order to have a chance of winning. He took the risk of open water gunboating. He could have tried to take the risk of camping. So, usually against the carrier, I guess camping wouldn't work, but you know, anyway. Torps against the Ismail, there is a Confederate and another kill. Now, there is 1.5 minutes left. Actually, there is so little time left. Yeah, at this point the Chago didn't have a chance of going for the enemy camp. Trying to sink a ship was the right choice for him. So, anyway. Friendly team still behind. Friendly carrier got taken out at some point, cause he did obviously not sail away when the enemy arrived. The friendly Gneisenau that, you know, refused to actually fight the incomings is still on an excursion down there, and those torpedoes look pretty darn good. So that brings the friendlies a few points ahead of the enemy. But you know, I don't actually know how healthy the Gneisenau is, because we can't see the Gneisenau, he's so far away. If the Gneisenau would have helped defend, this would have probably gone a lot easier, but the Gneisenau is still hunting for a carrier. No idea where the enemy carrier is. Well, you know, I'll have to give the enemy carrier credit for one thing. He's not sitting around and getting sunk, as sailed away it looks like. But as long as the Gneisenau survives, and there's a drop incoming right now, and for all we know the Gneisenau is currently burning. But if that Gneisenau survives, it's going to be a win. Barely a win, but a win. So, he survived Gneisenau. And here we are with the results. Tsukumi-chan earned himself 2,571 base experience, and he had to carry this pretty damn hard. He's probably now suffering from severe back pain. Also impressive how little experience the enemy carrier managed to get, despite not being AFK. And if this carrier had even once gone after destroyers, the enemy team would have won so easily. But it might be a new player again. Tsukumi-chan earned himself a Confederate, a devastating strike, a kraken, and a high caliber, scoring 206,000 points of damage, sinking 8 enemies, and still it was only barely a win. World of Warships. And that all was achieved as a low tier ship, I guess. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this, and I'll see you next time.